Marsch, brothers and sisters, it's your boy JT, and welcome back to another video. And boy, was it great to be back watching Leeds United in the flesh. Isn't it amazing to see the boys back in action in the Premier League? It's exactly what I was saying this morning, this afternoon, this evening even. But boy, the second that whistle went to start the game, the second I saw the gutless midfield domination, the second those thoughts suddenly dissipated in a very quick manner. That was one of the worst performances I've seen all year. And I'm not trying to start everything off in a bad light, because obviously it's been a hot minute since we've seen Leeds. So we have to take everything into account and take everything with a pinch of salt. And don't worry, we will get into all the negating issues. First of all being, it's flipping Manchester City, alright? They can do this to anybody on their day, okay? Believe me, they can. They are the best team in the league. I know Arsenal are playing better than them right now, but in terms of quality, in terms of the team, and in terms of what they can do to you on their day, they are head and shoulders the best team in the league, arguably in the world, alongside maybe PSG. But before we get into all of that, I just want to say, I was seeing today when I was reading some of the reviews and stuff, people are trying to tell me, yeah, we played alright in glimpses, we lost 3-1 to Manchester City, it's not that bad of a result. But come on, let's look at the facts. When we lost 7-1 to them last season under Bielsa, we got slated by our own fans, by opposition fans, by everyone. Okay? It was one of the worst performances a lot of us have ever seen. But you try and tell me, you try and sit there and genuinely tell me the difference between that performance where we lost 7-1 and this performance where we lost 3-1. 4 goals is one difference. Second difference, which is the only difference, is that in that first game, Man City were a lot more clinical. And in the second game, they were ridiculously profligate. That is the only difference. So for people to be sitting there as somewhat happy with what they saw today, you need to really seriously reevaluate things, reevaluate where your head's at, and reevaluate where Leeds United are at. Because that, for me, was absolutely terrible. And you have to look at the fact that it wasn't that great during the whole international break. It wasn't that great before the international break. We kind of papered over the cracks with the Liverpool win, with the Bournemouth win, and then the Spurs performance, which we really needed to win, because now yet again we are just 2 points off the drop with just 1 point in hand. That Spurs game, you wondered why at the time. I was going a bit mad, and I really was saying that was a must win, a win that we needed to keep ourselves away from the relegation zone, to keep ourselves afloat. And people were saying, oh, it's Spurs, we had a couple of wins on the spin before that, it doesn't really matter that we lost. Well, this is why. You're seeing why now. It is squeaky bum time. They are sniffing straight up our crack, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. The game against Monaco last week, dreadful. Honestly, that 9-minute spell where we brought Llorente on and then just decided we couldn't defend, we couldn't string 2 or 3 consecutive passes together, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't shake hands with our next door neighbours, alright? We couldn't scratch our own arse if our life depended on it. It was ridiculous, that 10-minute spell. And then the rest of the game, we were weak and we flattered to deceive anyway. But today, I know it was 3-1. I know it's Manchester City. But come on. That could have been 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you think I'm exaggerating. You sitting there and thinking I'm exaggerating. Well, look back at the tape. Look back at the highlights. Look back at the full match. The amount of chances Grealish had, he couldn't hit a barn door with a goddamn beach ball, a volleyball, a bowling ball. He could be sat there with a bowling ball and the guardrail out pointed from 5 meters away, scrap that 2 meters away, and he would still veer it off down those little alley gutters, whatever the hell you call them. He was terrible. He missed about 3 or 4 sitters from about 2 yards out. Meslier pulled out some absolute wonder saves in the game, and he also pulled out some great saves in which he should have probably not been making, but then again, you have to say Haaland was probably unclinical a good few times. But they came through with ease. They dominated the midfield battle. Defensively, we were non-existent. The positional awareness was poor. Struijk, I know he scored in the end, but in the first half there, the amount of times where they pinged the ball forward and Struijk just without looking sprayed some random hospital pass, just sprayed some random ball into no man's land without looking and giving it to Haaland, gifting them presents like it's still bloody Christmas Day, was ridiculous. Christensen, I thought, was one of our best players, especially in the first half. I think he kept Grealish very quiet at times. Having said that, he didn't do anything going forward, which is why he ended up coming off for Luke Ayling. And this is what I'm saying, man. I love him, and he's starting to prove people wrong. He's starting to play well. He's starting to defend well. But a fullback, I don't care. I don't care if you're the best defender on the planet. If that's all you've got to your name, you're not good enough for the club. You're not good enough for the club. If all you've got to your name is the fact that you can defend, then you can't be a defender in the modern game. A fullback especially. Maybe a centre-half, you can just about get away with it. But if your attacking presence and your on-the-ball work is really flattering to deceive, as his did at times, then you have to question itself. And I'm really wondering how Cody Drama isn't getting a little bit of a sniff in this game. But I'm not here to criticise him, because he was definitely our best defender. He was definitely better than Struijk. He was definitely better than Cooper. He was definitely better than Koch. And he was definitely better than Rente when he came on. But I just need to see that bit more attacking impetus from him. Ayling came on. I thought he was pretty decent. Midfield-wise, the defense starts from the midfield. If you lose the midfield battle, it's going to be a long day for you. And our midfield was non-existent. Dwayne the Rocker Johnson. If you smell what the Rocker is cooking. And I tell you exactly what he was cooking. He was cooking a piss poor performance, non-existent in the midfield there. He was like Casper the Ghost. There was so much space. He couldn't get near Rodri or De Bruyne. They were running rings around him. And I don't think he's been that phenomenal of recent times. I do have to say it. I do have to say we really missed Tyler Adams in there today. Really, really missed him. Next to him, Forshaw, he was a bit better off the ball, but on the ball, he looked so confused at times. It was like a confused.com advert. He was misplacing passes. He was very slow to make decisions. And I don't think he had the best performance. Obviously, like you say, you have to caveat this with the fact that they're playing against a phenomenal Man City midfield. But, man, it was just weak. And in this transfer window, we seriously need to bulk up that core of the team. We need a left-back who can attack if Firpo's not going to be playing, and a left-back who has more pace than what Struijk has. And we also need a centre-half with experience and quality. And maybe a midfielder as well. And I'll tell you why we might need a midfielder is because injuries are around the horizon. I would put JB in there with Adams right now. I would. But one big injury to Adams, like we saw today, and I don't care who you try to plug the hole with, whether it be Forshaw, Rocker, Klitsch, or JB, without Tyler Adams in that midfield, we are suspect. We are extremely, extremely suspect. We need another player who can fill in there when Tyler Adams is out, because, I mean, today just showed how massively we depend on him. Going forward, I think we were just forcing everything to Nonto, really. I think we were just hitting and hoping. And this is a big problem that Leeds have found ourselves in, is that we're relying very heavily on an 18, 19-year-old who really wasn't our first choice signing. The only reason that he really came in is because we couldn't bring anyone else in, because we left it too late to get a Gakpo or to get another renowned striker. So we ended up going in the last second for Willy Gnonto, and he turned out to be an absolute revelation. Brilliant, yes. But he should be being helped by more experienced players. Players who are there to do the job around him. Players who are there to guide him, to help him. Not just relying heavily on him to create something with a bit of magic. Aronson, I thought, was alright. Greenwood, I think, set piece-wise was good, and he grew into it in the second half. I don't think, aside from that, open play, feel free to disagree. Let me know what you guys think about that one. I don't think he offered too much. And Rodrigo just couldn't get a sniff. He could not get a sniff. He just had no service. He wasn't able to find space. We weren't able to get the ball to him. When he did make a couple of good runs, the ball into him was too slow. The decision-making was too slow. And what I will say, actually, not to discredit Rodrigo, but when Gelhardt came on in the end of the second half there, I thought Gelhardt had a very, very good game. He really changed the game, in my opinion, and I think he probably should have got more game time. I don't know why Marsch left it so late to bring him on. I don't know if what he saw was going on in that second half he thought was working, but for me, it wasn't working. And when he changed it up and he brought Gelhardt on, he brought Klitsch on, the game changed, in my opinion, and I thought Gelhardt was probably one of our brightest sparks in there, and I want to see him get some more game time going in to this Newcastle game. But overall, I mean, look, I know the score was only 3-1, but you tell me the difference between that performance there and that 7-1 performance last year. You tell me it. You tell me the difference, all right? Because I'm waiting to see it. The only difference is that Man City were very clinical in that first game against Leeds, where they beat us 7-1, not the first game. And they were horrifically profligate in this game. That's the only difference. And yet we got absolutely slated for that 7-1. But this one, people are saying, it's alright. We played alright in spells. But let me know what you guys think about it all down in the comment section down below. But for now, guys, I will see you very, very soon. Au revoir, my brothers and my sisters.